Have you ever been asked to borrow money? Have you asked your family or friends for money? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to read how to say no to family or friends who ask to borrow money while keeping your relationships intact. Are you ready to master your finances and live your best life? Welcome to the Live Financially Well podcast. This is the audio version of the Frugal Blog with your host, Jason Vitug. Let's start reading. I want to share a deeply personal story of how I borrowed money from a friend and loaned money to family and friends. So I've been a borrower and a lender. I've been in both sides of this banking relationship when we are lending money to people we care about and we are asking for money from people we care about. So I'm the first to admit that there are emotional and mental aspects of borrowing money and loaning money. If you're the borrower, you're admitting to bad financial circumstances and you're somewhat swallowing your pride when you're asking for a loan because it does show some kind of vulnerability. However, as the person who loans money, you're put in a tough situation of needing and wanting the loan to be repaid and wanting to keep and maintain that relationship. So here's my story of the incapable borrower, that's me, and the misunderstood lender, that's me too. When I was in my 20s, I was a financial disaster. I was living paycheck to paycheck, racking up credit card bills and maxing out my student loans. As a 20-year-old college student, I did have a good paying job, but I never seemed to have enough money. There was one particular situation when I asked a good friend for money to pay for my car insurance. Without any question, he gave me $600 to be repaid back in 30 days. I still remember the feeling of wanting to pay him back, but for some reason, I could never find the means to do so. Coincidentally, for some reason or some strange circumstance, I was always able to find money to go out and be wasteful. Somehow, finding enough money to pay him back seemed insurmountable. In many ways, I rationalized in my head that my friend's loan was indeed a bill, but I had other more important bills due. My creditors wouldn't understand or care to understand my situation, but I believe my friend, as he is my friend, should understand my financial predicament because, again, he's my friend. Well, months pass and I still haven't paid him back. I also did my best to avoid him. He never actually went chasing after me until he needed the money for spring break. I remember how embarrassed I was. I was ashamed of the avoidance and the carelessness. But eventually I did pay him back. It was months later than agreed, but right in time for his Mexico trip. So how did I get from borrowing money to loaning money? Well, a few years later, I found myself in better financial standing because I learned to manage my money through budgeting, saving more, spending less, and really cutting out the fluff in order for me to pay down debt and live within my means. So this time around, the roles were reversed. People were coming to me for financial help. Well, when I started lending money out to family and friends, I experienced the same type of avoidance. This time, my family and friends were avoiding me. I also had one family member tell others how worse I was than a debt collector for simply wanting my money back. And there was also one instance. I had a friend tell me I was greedy for wanting my money back since I looked like I was doing quite well and obviously he was struggling. On all these occasions, I was in the wrong. Here's the reality that I didn't share with my borrowers. The money I loaned was money I couldn't afford to lose. I was by no means financially independent. I just wanted to help friends out of stressful situations. Having experienced the other side of loaning money, I see what my friend back then may have observed. With the friends I lent money to, some were posting pictures of the vacations and the shopping sprees. One even posted buying a $500 pair of sneakers while I was side hustling with paid online surveys and secret shops to make extra cash. So, should you loan money to family or friends? The thing is, people borrow money for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's to pay for rent or food, other times for something discretionary. and people loan money because they believe it will help. I've seen the loans do some nasty things like destroy marriages, cut off sibling communications, and I've witnessed friends get into physical altercations. It's okay to lend money to anyone you choose. Just have the right mindset and the financial means to do so. I have a golden rule. It's give money when I have it and when it makes financial sense, but never loan money with any expectations of repayment. So, how can you respond to family and friends who ask to borrow money from you? Well, here's the thing: help keep a loved one safe. That is one thing to consider. Determine the loan purpose. Your family or friends should respond honestly and not defensively. The latter can and do happen more often. Some people want your help with no questions asked. A good process is to determine if the situation is life threatening. I want to help my loved ones and keep them from experiencing unnecessary financial stress, especially when they are actively working on improving their finances. If a friend's life is in danger, however, I am going to do my best to help and offer any resources available to me. And if you discover that they are safe, but under financial stress due to debt collection, then share how two federal agencies are on their side. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the Federal Trade Commissions have portals to lodge complaints. These federal agencies do follow through. Two, make it an investment. Sometimes a friend needs a loan to help with a business idea. Analyze the request as if it was a business opportunity. Ask questions about the business plan, product, and revenue projections. If your friend is going into business, then he should be able to answer these questions. It'll also help flush out his idea, which can help with a future loan from a lender. If the loan is for a business, then I consider two things, such as supporting a friend to live a dream or investing in a solid business with growth potential. Three, focus on financial knowledge. I've had friends who needed cash to pay for moving violations or tickets. One such friend had two tickets for using a cell phone while driving that totaled $600. He didn't have the money to pay and was afraid he'd lose his license. In this situation, I wanted to help him out, but I could also be enabling his careless behavior. I mean, it's 2 times he's received the same type of ticket. Instead, I offered him ways to earn money to pay off his violations. He told me how having to work more made him realize how he'd stopped texting while driving. Four, help create a savings habit. If you want to loan money to family and friends, then consider opening a secured loan for them. A secured loan is offered by banks and credit unions for people who may not otherwise be approved. Follow these steps when someone asks you for money. 1. Help them get a secured loan for the amount needed. 2. Deposit the amount you're loaning into a secured savings account. 3. Get the funds dispersed and given to your family or friend. 4. Have your family or friend repay back the loan to the financial institution. 5. Once repaid, the secured savings is released back to you. I've actually helped a friend secure a $1,500 loan from a credit union. We opened a joint account and I made the deposit for the amount needed. The credit union dispersed the loan to my friend and he made the minimum monthly payments and repaid the loan within 8 months, 4 months earlier. After repayment, the security deposit was released back to me. As an added benefit, not only did I help my friend with the cash he needed, which also improved his credit, I earned a little bit of interest in that security deposit. And finally, sometimes just saying no is enough. I've learned when people have said no to me, I found an alternative solution. In most instances, your family and friends will also find a different solution to their financial needs. A few years ago, a friend asked to borrow money. I said no and inquired about his situation. He was way behind on all his bills and his debt was 3 times more than his annual income. Having worked in the financial space for some time, I knew what he needed to do was speak with a debt counselor or an attorney about options. When he heard no from me, it gave him time to reflect that borrowing money to pay for 1 month's bill wasn't going to solve the long-term problem. Now, it's hard to say no to people we care about, so do it with empathy and understanding. Assure them you are not judging their situation, and if you want to help in some other way, make it clear it won't be financially. Keep yourself from lecturing or trying to solve their issues. Financial stress impacts our psychological state, and being told what should have been done can only harm the relationship. So, you've heard my story of how I borrowed money and vice versa. What are your experiences? You have just listened to how to say no to family and friends who ask to borrow money. I'm Jason Vitug, the author of this article and founder of frugal.com. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this journey to turn my blog into an audio show. It has been a really great experience, and I hope it's helpful for you as well. If you're interested in reading this article and accessing any additional resources, visit frugal.com. That's PHROOGAL.com, and connect and engage with me on social via Instagram and Twitter. And you can find me at Frugal as well. Before I sign off, I do want to make a note. I know how difficult it is to truly say no to people we love. We really want to help them as much as we can because we care about their well being. But it's also important for you to understand your well being is impacted if your friendship goes sour. It's so much easier, I've learned through experience, that friends forget that you did not lend them money, but they do remember when you become a debt collector in their life. So when a family member or a friend asks for money, my suggestion is to be honest and open with them about your financial situation. Let them know. It might open up a great conversation for both of you to seek out assistance. And if you are in a financial situation to help family and friends who need money, then go ahead and do it. But it's also important to know that when you lend money to family and friends without an expectation to get it back, I've also discovered that some family and friends feel a little awkward that they were given money by you. I know it's a touchy subject, and that's why you want to be clear and concise when you're talking about money when dealing with family and friends. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much. I'm signing off. See you next episode. Peace.